Hi everybody. This video is going to be for you if you are working with the law of attraction, working on manifesting what you want and things aren't landing yet. If you find yourself struggling to call in the things that you want, or they're coming in kind of broken or not how you intended and you're getting frustrated, this video is definitely going to help you, because what I'm going to talk about are 5 things underneath the surface with most of us in relation to the concept of desire that I feel really kind of need to be ironed out so we can start to manifest more clearly. So stay tuned. I began working with the law of attraction about 15 years ago, consciously. And all I can say, it was an absolute shit show. Okay, every time I tried to manifest something, it either didn't happen or it would come in broken. I would attempt to manifest a partner, someone would show up, I'd fall in love with them, it would look like it was gonna work out, and then at the last minute, boom, the whole thing would explode in my face. The girl would walk off into the sunset with another guy right in front of me, and I was left sitting there going, what the fuck happened? I asked for a partner, why isn't this working? And I have spent a lot of time kind of digging down into why it didn't work. And that's what I'm going to talk about. To start with, the law of attraction is very simple, right? Basically, you reflect back to yourself what you are in this moment. I feel like a lot of people ask for something, and then if it doesn't happen, this is what I would do. I'd be like, I'm not asking right. I'm not saying the right words. I'm not believing it enough. I have to ask and ask again, to the point where I'd almost be like yelling at the universe, like, don't you fucking get what I want? Listen to me. That's not the problem. Basically, the law of attraction is you're reflecting what you are back to yourself in every single moment. If you want something, the best thing to do is to feel as if you already have it. If it's not showing up, start looking at what's in the way. Okay? So like I said, I would ask again and again and again, and then I'd get frustrated. And I'd feel like there was something wrong with me. And I'd feel like the universe wasn't listening. What I've come to understand is basically, we all want what we want, right? And we're all calling in what we are. So if you're not getting what you want, it has to do with your beliefs and your concepts about what you want, more so than it does working with the law of attraction. So here are 5 things to understand about desire to help you create what you want, because desire is the concept around the law of attraction, and desire is a very convoluted concept historically. We have many imprints from our parents, from religion. Even if you're not religious, your ancestors carried the codes of offbeat or misaligned desire. Religion has a lot of programming around feeling guilty for wanting things. And it's hard to manifest things if you feel guilty and ashamed for even wanting them to begin with. That's Eastern and Western. And for me, a big thing was I was in 12-step programs for a long time. And what we heard a lot was that we were selfish, self-seeking, self-centered addicts, which, you do become that when you're in addiction. But then when I got into the law of attraction, I went, oh my God, I'm not allowed to want things. I'm a horrible person. I'm a spoiled brat. I'm selfish. And there's a big difference between being selfish and having desire. And when we start to unpack this stuff and iron it out, we get more clear in ourselves. And when we're more clear in ourselves, what we're calling in shows up more clear. So the first thing, there's a difference between a desire from your soul or your higher self and a desire from your ego. Okay, I'll give you an example. I always wanted to be a rock star growing up. Didn't happen. I had musical capabilities. I wrote songs. It wasn't meant for me. It wasn't meant for me to be a rock star. It wasn't part of my path. No matter how much I wanted it or pushed for it, it wasn't going to happen at that time. Okay, it wasn't time yet. My ego wanted to be a rock star for certain reasons. And those reasons for me were, yes, I loved music, but it was also fame, recognition, attention, like wanting to feel loved, which is mostly what we all want. Okay. Now, as I've grown spiritually and healed myself, I need those things less because I have them from within. I still love music and would like to do something with my music. But my soul was wanting me to learn something different at that point in time in my life. And I know nobody really wants to hear this, but it's the truth. If that part of you, the higher part of you, doesn't want it for you, it's not going to happen. And the more you kick and scream, though, and I get that because I've done it, the worse it's going to get. So if things are not showing up, it helps to ask where the desire's coming from. Because when you're in alignment with the soul, things go much smoother. Number 2, desire with attachment versus desire without attachment. What I would do a lot, I got very much into Eastern, religion, Buddhism, Taoism, and I would take a lot of the freedom from desire topic to mean I wasn't supposed to have any desire. Like it was wrong to want things. And that just fucked me up on every level because you can't not want things. It's not unspiritual to have desire. Desire is spirit. Okay? I would get so angry when I would hear people talk about freedom from desire. I would take it to mean I wasn't supposed to have any. And I do think that sometimes they kind of meant it that way. And I was like, I can't. Like, fuck you. Like, I want stuff. Like, what's wrong with that? What am I supposed to do? Like, I want to have a life experience. Am I just supposed to sit in my room and stare at the wall and never do anything? What the fuck am I here for? And a lot of times it doesn't really mean like not having desire at all, but they don't explain it clearly. And sometimes they are coming from that place of have no desire. But I would suggest it's because of this. A lot of versions of Eastern religion have to do with escaping. It's like escape. It's like not having any desire, not living a human life because it's too hard, in which case it's like, okay, like you're afraid of actually living a human life because it's more difficult than just retreating into a cave and being like, I'm just going to go to God. But you're escaping the human. You're escaping the 3D reality and trying to get out. And that's not what's going on anymore on the planet. Now it's about how do we bring like the divine here. So, and make this world so good that we don't need to just escape and run away in spiritual bypass. And that really drove me nuts. And what I found underneath that was so many lifetimes in ashrams and trying to be this perfect ascetic spiritual person or like, a Catholic monk. And a lot of that was still reverberating. So if you're open to like other lives and things like that, I would maybe check in with how many times you've had religious Eastern or Western lifetimes where you made vows to not get what you want, or vows to not have a partner, or vows to, just sleep on the floor and eat one egg a night because desire is bad, okay? But see, there's a way to want something from a place of being more whole and being okay if it doesn't come, and wanting something because you need it to happen in order to feel better, in which case you're in that lack state and you're only going to draw in things that probably bounce off because you can't hold the frequency of what it is that you want. So I would suggest looking at, how much attachment do you have to the thing that you're wanting to call in, right? How much are you needing it to happen to feel better versus how can you start to feel better by working on your trauma, working on your belief systems, working on self-love so that you feel like already whole enough. You don't need to be perfectly whole. You just need to be whole enough. Okay. Number 3, as far as the concept of desire, and this kind of relates a bit to number 1, Oftentimes we get confused. We don't really know what we want. The mind thinks it knows, right? The mind thinks it wants something, but that's not what we really want. Like even, for example, with being a rock star. Like part of me and part of my soul even does want to be seen and known and respected for my gifts. That's a very natural desire, and that's a soul desire too. But I thought I needed that then. And I was so attached to getting it so that I could feel good enough. It wasn't really what I wanted. What I wanted was to feel good enough, to feel loved. And the irony was, and this is kind of how it always works, I did love music, and maybe my soul would have wanted to be a rock star, but there was too much trauma, right? So I was wanting something that I really just wasn't ready for because I couldn't even accept it. Like I didn't love myself enough to allow myself the space to go out and experiment and play in a band and not make it for a while. I felt like such a shameful piece of shit that when I didn't get it right away, I was like, I quit, basically because I didn't have the love inside to keep going. And it's not even so much that my soul didn't want me to do music. It wanted me to love myself enough first. And because I didn't, I couldn't even do it. So I was doing it for the wrong reason because I didn't have what I needed to do it for the better reason. Which leads me to number 4, right? Unlocking your childhood. Not being able to get what you want as a child. So much of the struggle with the law of attraction comes from this. Okay, what happens often when we're kids, we have a range of like traumatic childhoods. Everyone has some trauma. Some people, it's so awful, it's inconceivable, right? But we don't get our wants or needs met. Like for me, I had a mother who was very, very loving, but I also got, we've healed our stuff and all that. I got yelled at a lot. So I would go from this like feeling like I was like a king and like the most important thing in the world to feeling like a total worthless piece of shit who was in deep trouble for reasons I didn't understand. So that pattern is the pattern that I created in my life. So like I would want to manifest a partner and everything would come in and it would look really, really good and like everything was going to work out, and then the crash, and it wouldn't, and it would all dissolve. Now the other thing that happens when we don't get our needs met or our wants fulfilled as children is we develop the belief that we can't have what we want. So if you're using the law of attraction, right, and you're like, I want this, I want a partner, I want a better job, I want a better career, but deep down, somewhere in your subconscious, you believe that you can't have what you want because you didn't get it as a child, you're going to be calling in things that bounce off. They're going to come in and bounce off and come in and bounce off and come in and bounce off. So I would suggest, looking at the belief of like, I'm not allowed to have what I want, and where did that come from? And how do you start to get your wants and needs met now? How do you go back into your childhood, when it's safe? Some of this takes, you might want to work with somebody to do this and find out where those unmet needs were and how to give them to that child yourself so that then you can allow yourself to get what you want now. And the number 5 thing to understand in relation to desire has to do with divine timing. I know we hear that a lot, but what is that? Because the mind tends to think of timing in terms of actual literal time, like watch time, clock time. It's not time yet. When's it going to be time? And it hasn't been time for me for anything for so many years. I've been infuriated with this concept of divine timing. Sometimes it's not because you're doing anything wrong. It's not because you're not asking correctly. It's not even because you're not fully allowing it. It's just because it does take time for things to line up. Like maybe your partner's not ready yet. Maybe your partner's still working on themselves. So it's not, in a way, it does have to do with time from that point of view. But timing more has to do in divine timing with synchronicity, with like synchronizing to the actual space that you want to be in to call something forth. It doesn't really have to do with, is it going to be 2 months or 6 months or 3 years? Like it could be 3 seconds, but it's not time yet. It has to do with syncing with the rhythms of yourself, the rhythms of the earth, and the rhythms of the universe. And you do that by being in the moment and being in your body. So I would suggest learning more and more how to connect with your body and how to synchronize your body with the rhythms of the earth. When you do that, you come more into the now and you come more into harmony. And that ego attachment of I want this, that's pulling and pushing at the same time and pulling and pushing the things that you want away, sort of settles down and opens up and allows. That's divine timing, is being in the space of just being open and allowing things to come. That's what patience is. Patience isn't really like, I'm going to wait for 3 days and not get upset. It's more just, I'm just going to be in the present without really even thinking about time, because there's no time in the present. There's a lot more on this topic, which I will cover in future videos. But I just wanted to do a little bit of a kind of start off with some of the desire concepts, because it's one of the most misunderstood and undissected concepts in our reality. But that the best thing I can leave you with is what you want is possible, and you do deserve to have everything that you want. There's nothing wrong with having desire. Desire is very healthy on every level. On some conscious cosmic level, like desire is just love, and love is always expanding. The impetus to expand, which is all anything in consciousness is ever doing, is desire. So when, if you're into the Eastern religious concepts of like freedom from desire, and you're trying to step on your desire or let go of having desire at all, you're basically creating this pattern of feeling guilty for existing because you can't shut it off. Don't shut it off. You can let go of attachment to the outcome and attachment to when. And sometimes there might be something better for you. It's like, I gotta manifest my specific person. So many people are into that. That might not be your specific person, but if you don't let that go a little bit, you're not gonna make room for the specific person that's actually better. Because we don't know. We think we know. We're like, that's the right person for us. But 2 months into that relationship, you might be like, this fucking person is crazy, right? You don't know. Anyway, I hope that helped. Please leave comments below. Please like and subscribe to the channel. And I will thank you very much and see you next time.